Welcome everyone to our first webinar. My name is Mia. I am the marketing manager at micobo, and we are very excited to launch this new platform called Tokenization Tuesday. It's a webinar series that we will be hosting to discuss topics in depth with experts in the field of tokenization and blockchain. Quick disclaimer, this webinar is being recorded, so by joining you're agreeing to this, and of course you will receive a link afterwards with the recording. We have allocated some minutes as well at the end of the session for attendees to pose questions to the experts here today. The topic of our first session is issuing electronic securities under eWpG. Our experts will take you through the definition of eWpG, which is short for Gesetz zur Einführung elektronischer Wertpapiere, or the German Electronic Securities Act for the English speakers. And for that, we have invited Christian Korn, Executive Director and Head of Digital Assets at Flatex DEGIRO, Marc Henniges, Manager at Define, Duc Au, Manager Beteiligungen at Keppler Verlag, Dr. Carola Rathke, Partner at Ypog, and Markus Hohnvelmann, Head of Business Development at micobo. So without further ado, I leave the floor to my colleague Markus to introduce you to this topic.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So micobo is today hosting the session, but I'm really thankful to all the participants, and I'm looking very much forward to the discussion we're going to have here on the panel today. micobo is a technology company, and we founded the company in 2014 in the industry. Christian Labet and Christoph Immerkofen are really well known. They are serious founders, and they have got a long track record in the technology scene. micobo itself launched its first tokenization platform in 2018, and we did the first tokenization together with the first client in 2019. So compared to others, we are really an early mover, and we have lots of experience in the tokenization area. But as the focus today is the Electronic Securities Act, would like to draw your attention to the Crypto Securities Register, which is our second product in our product portfolio. And the register enables license owners. We are not a license owner. We are a technology company. To operate their own register and issue securities under eWpG in a crypto securities register. And the micobo platform provides everything that is necessary to be fully compliant with the issuance process, and it also covers all the requirements from BaFin and from others like BIT and so on. An important component that is optional is the depository directory, which is in German the Niederlegungsverzeichnis, that can be delivered by us, or we can integrate it from the parties we are working with. Usually these parties are banks, so that's an interesting result. I guess we should discuss about this later on. And let me quickly give you a very brief overview on some of our reference customers, where you can see that we are working together with multiple banks. We have been working with them in the past, and we're going to continue with our banking focus, especially with the electronic securities for the next years. Over to Christian.
You're muted.
Thank you, Markus. And first of all, thanks for the invitation. Happy to be here, and happy to provide you a slight overview of what Flatex DEGIRO is doing. So to some extent, we are the largest and fastest pan-European retail online broker. We have circa 18 subsidiaries. We have 2.3 million customers with assets under custody of 40 billion euros. We settling around 91 million transactions alone in 2021, and we have a transaction volume of 350 billion euro. We have around 1,200 200 people employed throughout whole of Europe. Our main offices are in Frankfurt, Zwickau, Amsterdam, and furthermore. Nevertheless, if you look at our trade volume, you can see why the crypto registrar is so important for us, or is a good opportunity for us to facilitate a lot of the trading in a DLT environment. If you go to the next slide, Mia, you can see that we have two companies here involved when it comes to the crypto registrar. We have founded the CryptoPort, who is the license holder of the crypto registrar license, and Flatex DEGIRO as a group has the CryptoPort as a 100% daughter. And I'm also responsible for the crypto registrar and the crypto trading as well. We want to offer it Flatex DEGIRO in some near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Now over to Marc.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Marc Henniges. I'm a manager in the blockchain space at Define. On the next slide, you will see that we are a European consultancy. And what makes us special pretty much is that we have scientists as consultants, mostly physicists, mathematicians, as you will see on the top right here. And we hence focus on analytical, quantitative, and tech problems. We are active across several industries, as you can see at the bottom, and we focus on a holistic approach such that we say we design, build, and ship, and we basically offer all these three steps to our clients. On the next slide, you will see that there are several areas in the blockchain space that we concern ourselves with, from digital assets all the way to self-sovereign identity. And what is always quite important for us is that these are not areas that can be just accessed as just one area. They are all usually interlinked, like there's no payment without an identity and so forth. As I said, payment is something we concern ourselves with. On the next slide, you will see that we have several publications with respect to different topics. I participated in two of them regarding payments, for instance, the one here on the left regarding CBDC and DVP in the settlement choice model. And finally, what I wanted to stress here already, kind of setting the scenes on the next slide, is when it comes to the eWpG or the problem at hand here, what we want to do ultimately is we want to connect the issuer on the left-hand side with the investor on the right, or investors as traders amongst one another. And we know all the entities or the roles that we need today in order to connect them. And now if we have a digital asset, perhaps even on a public blockchain here, then there are several services that can be added and roles that can be added. And what we can view this digital asset now as is basically as an application. And we can think of it being applied in real world applications, social media, connect DeFi with CeFi and so forth. So this is what makes this exciting. And that's why I'm happy to be here today. And I'm glad to join the discussion after this introduction round. And back to Mia.
Thank you, Marc. Now passing the microphone to Carola.
Yeah, hi, I'm Carola Rathke, the lawyer here in the round. I just have one slide because lawyers are just needed, but not, I don't want to give numbers. I think we are well known in the German market and beyond because we are one of the market leader when it comes to private equity and venture capital funds. Venture capital funds is the buzzwords for being very close to startup businesses, new ideas. Therefore, we are working already since a very long time. I, with my team already in my previous law firm since 2017 on topics related to distributed ledger technology and everything connected in the financial services area, and my team, of course, in particular. Yeah, we have helped Coinbase to gain the first crypto custody license ever granted by BaFin. We worked with the first players wanting to apply for the grandfathering for the crypto registry. We are now working on licenses for the DLT pilot regime. So every new stuff happening more or less in the financial services area is what we are looking for and where our clients are. And so we are supporting on the legal part of it, the legal arm of it. And that's it from my side.
Thank you, Carola. Now I pass it on to Duc.
Thanks, Mia, and yeah, welcome to everyone, and happy to be here and to participate in this panel. And sorry, Carola, I have a few more slides, but I'll make it as quick as possible. Yeah, my name is Duc. I'm manager at the Keppler Verlag. Maybe before that, I was 13 years in banking, recently at Commerzbank in the digital strategy department. Yeah, besides that, I was a teacher and researching at FOM University, and I also just submitted my dissertation on digital assets and robo-advisory. And now to my company and my employer. I work for Keppler Verlag, and as you can see right here on the slide, we hold 50% of a company called WM-Gruppe and WM Datenservice. And some of you may know that the WM Datenservice is a very big leading data and service provider for the financial markets. And the WM Datenservice is part of a bigger group, so to say, the WM-Gruppe. And the WM-Gruppe is also very well known for the Börsenzeitung, for example, as one of the many business divisions. And as you can see right here, we hold 50% of the shares. The other 50% are held by the Interessengemeinschaft Frankfurter Kreditinstitute. On the next slide, I can show you some facts and numbers and facts. So the company was founded in 1947. We have around 60 products and services and are constantly striving to develop new ones. And we have many information and data on financial instruments on the market. And also what's very interesting is that we are the official national numbering agency. So when you as a company want to issue new financial instruments, you come to us to apply for the ISIN, but I will come back to that later on. And on my last slide, maybe a few sentences. We specifically focus on Europe. Our core markets are Germany, Austria, and Luxembourg. And we are also very proud that we are initiator of several working groups and initiatives, to create regulatory frameworks and also standards when it comes to the financial information industry. So yeah, thanks for the service, Mia.
Thank you all for your introduction, and we are very honored to have you here today as guest panelists. Now let's go ahead with the panel discussion. And the first question goes to Christian from Flatex DEGIRO and to Carola from Ypog. What is your experience from recent license application processes and first transactions under eWpG?
That's a good question, and you ask the right persons, I guess. So Carola more from a lawyer perspective, and I'm more from the practitioner perspective. Yeah, what can I tell, or what can I tell you about the license application? It's a very intense process you have to conduct throughout your whole company. The bigger the company, the more intense is it, the more alignment you have to conduct throughout all the departments who are necessarily dependent on that. Nevertheless, the license application is super intense. I cannot stress out how intense it is. It takes around 3 to 4 months preparation work. You have to write a lot of documents. You have to read through a lot of content in order to get the license. Nevertheless, we had around 650 pages we have delivered to BaFin. Specifically to the Electronic Securities Act, there was some kind of relief. If you don't offer any other financial service beside the crypto register piece, then you can get some kind of relief in terms of not using the CRR rules, for instance, for the risk management. So that makes it a bit better, but nevertheless, it touches a lot of areas in your company with focus on the supervisory requirements for IT and financial institutions. That is super cumbersome, a lot of effort in order to make that work. But I don't want to scare anyone about it. It's doable, but you need to have a lot of professionals around you who help and support you. And luckily, I had that in my previous 2 license applications. But Carola, you can give us another impression from the lawyer's perspective.
Yeah, maybe why do we need a license here in this context under the Electronic Securities Act? It is if you really want to issue, or if you want to issue crypto securities, and I don't mean electronic securities because the word Electronic Securities Act is a bit misleading. If Christian talks about this electronic security registry and the license application for it, this only applies so that you're not scared if you have normal electronic securities. This registry only applies to crypto securities. So securities issued on DLT basis. And of course, yes, Christian, as you said, whenever you decide to go this route to issue electronic securities, you need an electronic registry. Why? Because in order to issue such a security, you need to register it. Normally, if you just have a simple electronic security, which is not tokenized, you can put it in a centralized register. You don't need a specific license for it. So everybody can do it that has a financial services license, etc. A normal issuer can do it. So there are no further requirements alongside. But if you do it in this tokenized area, yes, the German legislator has decided it is only valid if it is entered into this electronic register, and therefore you need to go through this BaFin application process. It is similar not to a process for a bank, but for a financial services institution, a smaller one. Christian has already said there are some reliefs when it comes to only applying for this register. But yes, you need to go through this process, and all the typical laws and regulations that apply for typical financial services institutions, of course, also apply here. But of course, I can tell you, yes, after 3 months of preparation time and with the right people alongside, you manage to do it. So a lot of our clients have managed to do it. Also clients just coming from the tech background. So they are not so experienced in the financial services background. So that's something we can help you with. But yes, it is a decision to go that route, definitely, because you're part of the financial services industry and facing the facts. We will touch this point later on a bit, facing the fact that has happened with other companies outside Germany. FTX as one of the buzzwords, of course, we can expect that the requirements will not lower, but that the bar rather raises higher in order to ensure that things like that don't happen in the financial services industry.
Carola, currently the vast majority of registers operates under the grandfathering rule.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have any experience so far from how long it takes for BaFin to grant the license?
I can tell you we had this crypto custody, which was launched about 1.5 years prior to this registry. And we still have companies that are still exercising under this grandfathered rules. So my expectation is that it still takes quite a while, because BaFin first concentrates now on getting the crypto custodians out of this grandfathering period, because it's already very, very long. And therefore, I expect that step by step, of course, they will try to solve this problem on the electronic register side as well. But I don't think that it will happen within the next 6 months, to be very honest, because BaFin looks in a lot of details. Maybe Christian can shed some more light on that. But they have a lot of further requests, in particular for companies not coming out of the financial services area, because what they do want to understand in a lot of details is when these come, how the IT setup looks like, and they have a lot of questions on the IT side, follow-up questions when it comes to BCM, cybersecurity, everything around that. And companies outsourcing a lot of activities, which is very typical in this area. Also, the outsourcing is under a very detailed review. And I don't think that this will happen within the next 6 months, rather 12, 18, 24 months is likely. So that's my personal opinion, based, of course, on my experience.
So having a license today and operating under the grandfathering rules is really an asset, yes? Christian?
So yeah, it's good to have it, because also, I mean, you can start from scratch now. So the companies that were acting already in this area, actually, to be very honest, no one really acted, but a lot of companies decided to issue a bond on DLT technology in order to be able to get that license. I haven't seen any other application outside this grandfathering yet. So I think most of the companies that are already acting in this security area, that are open-minded for new technology, decided to go for this grandfathered license. Currently, I'm not aware that there is somebody working on a license outside this grandfathered scenario, because I think if we have a couple of registers implemented in Germany, this will be sufficient. I don't think that everybody will have, all companies will have its own register in the end.
And without grandfathering, you're looking at 2.5 years minimum, I guess, when you finally get the license granted. Yeah. And additionally, I can provide some insight on the transactions under the Securities Act. So you can start from scratch. You can start with a very manual process. We had the advantage that we had everything beside the DLT technology already in place. We can payments, we can do payment settling, we can do stock settling. We already possess the ability to do that. And micobo helped us and supported us a bit with the DLT part. And then you're ready to go. So our first trade was a bond for 5,000 euros, but was enough to satisfy what the BaFin wanted to see an operational conducted test transaction or a transaction.
Yeah, and in order to avoid that somebody says it takes 2.5 years, so I'm not that, so to be honest, I think it takes from filing until granting the license between 9 to 12 months for these kind of licenses. If you apply for a big banking license, of course, this is different. But to be honest, also for the coin-based license, BaFin took less than 12 months from filing to granting.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing about your intense practical experience. Very valuable indeed. The next question goes to Marc from Defined, Christian again, and to Duc from Keppler Verlag. The first one is for Marc and Christian. More specifically, what are the benefits of eWpG for issuers and permanent issuers?
Well, the advantages are kind of clear. Yeah, so you can build a very cost-efficient structure, and it is the more cost-efficient, the more volume you put through. So the idea is always to have a high volume and have fixed costs, but they will be decreasing the more issues you're doing. It's fast. It's faster than the standard process. It can be faster as the standard conventional process. It's secure. And what else are the benefits? You can think of advanced processes granting new possibilities to the issuers going forward, yeah, which nobody have thought about, due to the fact that you can do this theoretically a lot faster. You can produce different products in the future. Maybe you can streamline the issuing process to make it even faster compared to the CSD process, where, for instance, where you work together with Clearstream, and there it's always a bit of a hassle to do intraday emissions, and here you can do it from scratch intraday if you want to do it.
And perhaps if I may add, because we also get this question a lot from all the clients we talk to, why should we do this? What should we tell the issuers we work together with? And I guess in addition to what you've been saying, perhaps let's split this into two kind of groups. There are a couple issuers out there in today's world who find investors very easily, and for them, it's absolutely true what they said. What you said, speed and costs. Those are the main reasons in the near future. But then there's perhaps other issuers who do not find investors that easily, or have a lot of competition with other issuers who also want to find investors. And for them, as I already mentioned in the introduction, I guess this application component that we see now can make the assets more attractive. So basically, you can create financial applications. So it's not just any longer a boring financial instrument. It's really a financial application that you deploy on a ledger that you can interact with, and the investors can perhaps use voting mechanisms in there. You can combine it with DeFi applications, post it as collateral there to get something out of a smart contract over here. And so basically, if you split this in these two kind of groups, then there's this other group who can benefit from that a lot. And then if you go into the future even a bit more, then I guess you have this general benefit that you can combine the legacy roles and components with the new kind of role. So basically, you can address investors who have a wallet because they are crypto enthusiasts, and they can have classical assets like stocks, perhaps sometime in the future, in the same wallet as they have Bitcoin, or the other way around. That's of course then this something you can already do today, but then you can really build this entire space of addressing the classical investors and make new assets available to them, but also address these young new investors who love the crypto space, and also make these assets, the classical assets, available to them.
Thank you. And as a follow-up question, do benefits differ between bonds and mutual funds? To both of you.
Well, perhaps just to answer this in a bit more general way, as difference in benefits between products, it really depends highly on the additional market infrastructure that is involved, right? If a bond that just sits on a blockchain and waits for maturity, that's kind of a boring thing. But if we have marketplaces, on-chain stablecoins, atomic DVP in smart contracts, like delivery versus payment in one transaction, perhaps additional functionality, like if I own the Eintracht Frankfurt share, then I can, I don't know, get the ticket to the next game cheaper, then perhaps every financial instrument can become more interesting. I guess the differences between products are less important than these additional functionalities that can become part of these products. I guess that's what I would focus on more.
Nothing to add on this question. That's fine.
Okay, great. Then a question for Duc from Keppler Verlag. What will be the impact on the market if the eWpG would be open for stocks?
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question, Mia. But first, let me elaborate a little bit on it from a VM data service perspective. So I mentioned in the beginning that we are the official national numbering agency in Germany. So if a company wants to issue a new financial instrument, whether it's a traditional one or crypto one, you approach VM data service to apply for the ISIN. And it's very important to know, or very interesting to know, that you need the ISIN, as a requirement to do the successful listing in the crypto register, besides other information as the face value, the emission volume, or the LI. And it's very interesting because I did some digging and some crunching on our internal numbers. So in 2022, we added around 7.2 million new financial instruments in the VM data service database, such as we had the warrants, it was like around 6.4 million. We had the certificates, like 500,000. We had actual bonds, 200,000, and also investment funds, around 18,000. And now if we all, examine the Electronic Securities Act in its current state, then it's very interesting and good to know and to understand that bearer bonds, or in German Inhaberschuldverschreibung, they already imply the following financial instruments. We have bonds of all types, we have warrants, we have certificates. We also have something like participation rights, or in German Genussscheine. And now a little bit back to the question. So my personal take is that we already have a very outstanding, very good Electronic Securities Act at hand, because it already covers and enables a lot of, or a great variety of instruments. And my question to you, Beck, is do you have a guess how many new stocks the VM Data Service has added in 2022 to our database? Is there any estimation also to the audience?
100.
It's not so easy.
50 or 100?
We added around 7,000 in 2022. So if we now regard the numbers and also the German issues when it comes to stocks, then only roughly 0.05% of the financial instruments are currently excluded from the Act. So my great conclusion right now is that stocks are a very great and popular use case and very logical, and don't get me wrong, but it won't, in my perspective, it won't be the great game changer from the numbers perspective. And I think the industry should not wait for stocks, but rather focus, on the given opportunities, seize them, and should adapt more quickly to the opportunities already given. So that's a very long answer to your short question.
That's great. Thank you for that answer. Do you foresee benefits for other market participants? And that question goes to the three of you.
Well, let's take maybe a market participant which is not so prominent. It's the customer itself. It can, for instance, create more transparency for the customer in the long term. Yeah, so he could see proof of his stocks or securities on the blockchain. He can watch it live, how it moves from one wallet to another. So that's kind of cool thing. maybe it could be more cost efficient in the future. I think there will be cost pressure on brokers going forward and issuers to make their products even more cheaper for the end customer. Yeah. But what do you guys think about the other participants?
Well, I guess first of all, I would say that along with tokenization of existing assets and other digitization initiatives, this is really just you can look at it as digitization of things, right? And so one major benefit might be straight through processes, so speed, again, also for other market participants, automation, integratability of the assets into other applications. So you can perhaps say that one day you might have a portfolio token, like an ETF token, that is the one token that has in its belly several other assets on chain directly, which is a nice application for asset managers, I suppose. Then perhaps you can control these assets, as I said before, with the same wallet as you control your NFTs and money. You can combine traditional finance, CeFi, DeFi. So this is all very interesting for investors, perhaps. But there's also other roles in this ecosystem that can benefit. Banks, perhaps, they know about money, so they can add stable coins to this ecosystem. That make DVP more interesting. Mentioning DVP then or collateral management, perhaps CSDs can become quite active in this space and move on to a blockchain and have smart contracts for DVP and collateral management here using all these assets. Well, and there's more, there's new functionality for wallet providers, perhaps that need to integrate new functionality of these assets, and classical custodians who want to do asset servicing. They can find new approaches here with new services in these financial applications. So I guess there's a lot for everyone. And this is really important, I guess, to understand that what's happening here is a new ecosystem is being created. And this ecosystem has room for all the roles that are in the market today and more. So they can all find their share, and there's something for everyone.
Yeah, I also agree. I just want to emphasize on Christian again. I do think it's very important to think about the end customer. You know, we must not miss the opportunity to make it attractive to use it. You know, because as I told before, I think the Electronics Act is very good, and we need to make use of it and try to somehow, you know, convince the market also to use it, because we are right now in a very in a bubble. You know, we're talking about it like in a professional tongue, so we need to think out of the scope about the customer. It's very important. Otherwise, it's just a very good act, and no one is using it. You know.
Yes, and in the long run, I think too that this is super important. In the short run, it might be kind of difficult to grant any benefits to the customer, some ultimate benefits. Yeah, so in the best case, he don't even see that his stocks are now settled by a DLT infrastructure. Yeah, so he can see it as in the emission terms. Maybe if he look wisely through all 300 pages, he can see a small text. Yeah, this is settled by DLT. But for now, he will not see a difference. But in the future, I guess there will be a huge change going forward. Yeah, a huge transformation how we see investment of individuals going forward.
Great, thank you very much. As we are approaching our last minute, let's try to keep your very valuable answers as short as possible. This section goes to all panelists. Why has the acceptance of the eWpG in Germany regarding issued bonds and mutual funds been very low so far? What are the challenges, and what still needs to happen in the industry for this to change? So whoever wants to participate, answer this question, go ahead, please.
Yeah, that's a very long question.
Yeah.
With the request to give a short answer.
I think
Carola pointed out already that the number of actually issued bonds has not been that large in the past year. Yeah, so the regulation came into force approximately 18 months ago already, but like always, it takes quite a while in the banking industry because it's so highly regulated to adopt to that new technology, and also the investors need to accept it. And when I look at institutional investors, for example, they might not be allowed due to investment constraints and different kinds of regulation to invest in such an instrument. Yeah, so maybe. So it depends, and there's uncertainty and they are prudent and so on. So they are currently looking for what's going to happen in the market. And I totally agree with Christian. So what needs to change? I think the issuers need to think about the not only the cost potential, but also the innovation potential that Marc mentioned. Yeah. So how can I add value for investors using an electronic securities register and the new technology that comes along, and then we will see that the total number will drastically increase. And maybe Carola, you can give us some insights from application processes and projects you are currently running.
Yeah, I think the problem is exactly that the infrastructure is just evolving in the market, and more participants, of course, are interested in that. You from micobo, of course, will experience this as well. I think the industry has noticed now that this is a huge potential, and therefore we have a lot of players, small ones, but also the traditional players really looking for projects, DLT projects. And of course, we are seeing them because we are advising them. But I think one of the but one of the things, I mentioned it in my introduction, is now the DLT pilot regime, which gives the possibility to implement a new infrastructure. What is it? A DLT pilot regime. I don't know if we have enough time, but maybe we should do a new Tuesday on that, because it's a very interesting topic, actually. You have the opportunity to have an MTF, multilateral trading facility, on DLT, and so normal MTFs, the abbreviation for multilateral trading facilities, where only institutional investors can trade. This DLT pilot regime enables end customers, so normal people like us, to trade on this MTF. And if you kind of apply for a license as a TSS, which is the abbreviation for Trading and Settlement System, this kind of covers, I think, Christian, you mentioned it, that the normal CSDs, so the settlement systems that are normally in place, so the clear streams of the world, that you can replace the traditional clearstream system by really settling on this DLT infrastructure. So if you apply for a license as a TSS, as a trading and settlement system, you can create your own ecosystem, your own environment, and really trade securities between end customers and settle it. I heard already the buzzword from DeFi, in an atomic way, so delivery versus settlement instantaneously. Atomic is the buzzword in this community. You can create totally new infrastructure with totally new opportunities. And I think we're just at the starting point of it. It's a bit like when the first email, or the email system was implemented. The first users were very small numbers. We still used our fax machines, and now nobody of us can think of not using our computers more or less 24/7. And I think that this Web 3.0, this entire DLT ecosystem, has the same power to really kind of go through all our areas, not only in the financial services area, but throughout the entire society. So that's my personal prediction. And we are at the starting point, and therefore we need more players to see the merits and the use cases, but we do see more and more people seeing the potential in this technology.
And just to add one sentence, I think the majority of executives in the banking sector, they do not know the difference between utility tokens and security tokens. That the approach, how you secure them, how you transact them is super different. Yeah, and where security tokens are far more secure than the standard Ethereum utility token you send around and can never get back. That cannot happen in the world of security tokens. So it's really some kind of education we still have to provide to everyone.
And I'm sorry, I also want to add, I know we're dense on time, but there's I guess 2 or 3 very important points on my side. When we're talking to our clients that are the non-CSD clients, the ones that want to focus on a crypto register, there's a lot of discussion on what kind of ledger do I want to use: private blockchain, public blockchain, EVM compatible, layer 1, layer 2, layer 0. And this is there's no standardization there at all. Different clients talk to one another and they have different opinions on where the future will be. And I guess that is the first thing that needs to be solved, that everyone understands what the full potential of public blockchains is, where the potential stops and where you have to go to other places. Then the second thing is that if you go out on the street and you ask a few people if they have a crypto wallet and they have access to blockchains, many of them will say no, right? I mean, there's this access layer is missing. Many of our clients are working on custody solutions for their clients such that this will change in the future. But then there's the third point, and that is just one leg in this ecosystem is boring. Having just the asset leg and not the money leg is boring, because then we don't have DVP, we don't have atomic DVP at all. So this is something we need urgently. So these are the 3 things: standardization with respect to the technology, access to the infrastructure provided by market participants, and then bring the other leg on the ledger, some sort of stablecoin that we really want to use in Germany for settlements. Once we have these challenges out of the way, then I guess the ecosystem will be a brilliant flying ecosystem.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the next question: how do you see the current momentum of financial institutions utilizing the eWpG?
So from my point of view, I think that the current momentum is there, but it has to increase, and it will increase. I guess the larger the financial institutions, the more checkboxes you have to do until you can go live with such a product. So I guess a lot of companies working currently on maturing their products or maturing their settlement backends in order to handle DLT technology. So it will take some lead time in order to see the full speed and full momentum of this new Securities Act.
Yeah,
but I would also say that, sorry.
So Marc, as you pointed out already, it needs more. Market participants are thinking about infrastructure, yeah, and a whole ecosystem. And when you see what's going on there with the custody licenses and the new market entrants, especially in the custody area, and the investments global custodians, so from the traditional business, are taking to enter the market for digital assets, then you can easily foresee what's going to happen within this and next year. Yeah, so I guess there's a strong momentum already, more custody focused, but it will then also turn into the eWpG regulated area.
And I can totally confirm that there's a lot of momentum. It's been discussed everywhere with all our clients in the financial industry. The problem is really just that most of them focus on the register. They talk to us about, should we create this register thing? Should we be registrars? Instead of building for the ecosystem. As you pointed out, Markus and others, it's about creating other parts of the infrastructure too. And many market participants could rather focus on other things than just creating registers everywhere. But that's what's being discussed right now throughout the industry, I guess.
Yeah, maybe from our perspective, so VM Datenservice, we see that companies are interested, in getting more information on electronic securities or crypto securities, and also we start to provide ISINs for crypto securities. So it's there, but we still think that it's not that many. So we expect the market to grow, and we hope that more will come and apply for that. And there's still massive potential in the market for sure.
Thank you all for your answers. We're approaching the end, but we still have a couple of questions left. The next question, what is the market outlook for the upcoming years? Will the number of issues increase dramatically? Will the number of suppliers shrink drastically? Will we see new entrants? What are your thoughts about?
I guess we discussed this question sufficiently. So very positive outlook from all of the participants here, I guess.
Yeah. And are the register managers investing in scalable solutions?
I guess, Kristen, you are doing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are doing. Yeah, maybe I can give to the previous question a bit more insight. So I think we will not have 100 different crypto registrars going forward. So it will still be a handful. And I guess it's all about volume then, and how can you offer the issuers the best possibilities to issue their products in an easy and convenient way. And therefore, I think and connected to my previous statement, it needs a bit time to mature the high volume solutions, because you have to make a very durable road in order to put a lot of traffic through that road. So therefore, a lot of people working on that, but it will take some time until we can replace. And I think the whole market will maybe go into some phases. So the first phase will be, okay, we copy basically the conventional setups and put it in the DLT world. And the next phases will be much more interesting, where we see then absolute new innovations in the space, like Marc described it. So I'm looking forward to that.
And I'm sorry, I also have to add something to the first point here, because I also see these phases happening. I think from the discussions I'm having that the first phase will be a fragmentation. There will be different networks, private, public, and so forth. And then once we see some sort of standardization, then we will see this dramatic increase, because only then we have the full potential unlocked and all these assets can talk to one another. And we will also, I guess, see a boost for tokenization of classical assets, because all the assets that cannot be issued directly under eWpG, they will want to be part of the party as well, right? And so there will be tokenization at the masses, bringing other assets into this ecosystem. And I guess that's really when the whole thing will really take off, when we have all these assets accessible and they can talk to one another. And then we will see this dramatic or drastic increase, as you ask it here.
You know what's really bothering me? I'm very interested, to know, maybe it's like not enough time, but how attractive is it from a business case perspective? If I want to start a new company and do the registry business, how much do I have to invest, and when will be my outcome, and when will be my break even? Because it's really tough so far from what I've learned and what I've read about the requirements, to get this license. And yeah, that would be very interesting to see how it will develop, and how scalable this business can really be. And also, I guess
yeah. And I guess I can help you a little bit. I cannot give you numbers, but
okay.
Building on what Christian said, there will not be so many registrars in the future, right? There will probably be a lot of them popping up in the near future, but many of them will not have the security that is required. Many people might lose their assets because those registrar services are built in a bad way. So a few of them will prevail. They will add additional services and so forth. From what we see today, and this is really now a personal opinion of mine, I guess this registrar service will be an entrance to an ecosystem, and most entities and roles in this ecosystem, they will make their profits using or offering other services, and this registrar thing will really just be the entrance to that ecosystem. Yeah. And now I see a few people looking very interesting. So perhaps you have other opinions here, but that's what I'm thinking.
It will also be an anchor product, yeah. Like the custody business is today.
Yes.
Global custody is a really core anchor product, and that allows you to sell a wide variety of additional services.
Yeah, and I think when I see who kind of requests this new application, or who went into this grandfathering for the register license, crypto registrar license, these were more the traditional players that were already offering securities. So I would never come as a starting point, I want to set up such a new entity without really having the connection to the market, to the issuers. Because if you're not yourself the issuer, and if you don't have contact to issuers, you wouldn't do it simply because if there is a registry, but you don't have any issuers going to you and saying, please register my security, it doesn't make any sense. So it is a niche product, as it is even more niche probably than the custody product at the beginning, because people learned and saw, well, it doesn't make sense that everybody has its own custody solution. And therefore, I think they are a bit more hesitant. We also have to see that other European countries don't have this kind of registry, and they don't need it because they don't have this kind of requirement. So we need to say that this is a very German specific requirement. Therefore, I think we don't see a lot of players here, which is fine because we will have enough in order to issue in future crypto securities. I think we all are aligned, because when I listen to what the others said, I think we are all aligned that we talk more about a broader ecosystem where everything was already mentioned. What Mark, Christian, and others said, it is about having really the digital euro on chain, because I think this will be the big bang, because then you can do these delivery versus settlement in an atomic way. So these are probably, this is the next big thing. How can we achieve this? If you just talk about commercial bank money, what are the options with commercial bank money, which can be issued by any bank that has certain licenses? Do we need to wait for a CBDC, so the central bank digital currency? Yeah, you are saying no. I'm also saying no. But I think these are the big questions which are interesting. But this will really give a boost to the entire ecosystem. And the ecosystem is way broader, because as you said, Mark, what we do see a lot in our discussions with customer is this point, real assets, using real assets by using them as collaterals, because you can tokenize now real assets in small portions that can be used as collateral. So big banks think about tokenizing their art collection, because there are really big values behind, and tokenizing them means giving a lot of other opportunities. And therefore, I think it is, in a broader sense, very interesting to look into this ecosystem, and the electronic securities are a part of it. Will make a lot of sense also for the fund industry, where you have small margins, where you, whenever the ecosystem is set up, including the digital euro or US dollar or whatever the fiat currency will be, then I think we will have a very interesting model. And then my vision goes beyond, because I think we will individualize a lot of, or the way how we will invest in future will be way more individual than we do right now. So there will not be the typical funds anymore. I think it will be more tailor-made to each individual, but I don't talk about this in 5 years. This is probably the vision for 15 to 20 years rather. But I think that the entire investment behavior will change via this new ecosystem.
Thank you. And now the final question for Markus. What use cases and target segments do you foresee for issuing electronic securities under eWpG?
You're on mute.
Muted.
I will try to get a short answer here,
Yeah.
because we are already 9 minutes over. The majority of the use cases will be in the bonds area. And once the asset management industry has evolved, also in the funds business, because in the funds business, it's all about distribution. And in bonds, that's the universal instrument where you can pack everything and anything. And issuers have been very creative in the past, especially for retail structured products, to meet market needs and customer needs. And I guess they will now learn how to leverage the new technology to deliver additional service to their investor. So that's a very brief. Maybe we should have another session exactly for that question.
Yes.
Great. I guess we have a lot of material for upcoming sessions. So now we have a short time for Q&A. I see nobody has sent questions. If you have any questions, this is the time. Otherwise, we will proceed to end this session. Yeah. I see the chat is empty and the Q&A section is also empty. So I guess we can then proceed to say goodbye and thank you to the amazing guests for their great participation in the panel discussion. Now we have this contact slide for you to stay tuned for our upcoming events. We will continue to have this kind of sessions called Tokenization Tuesday. So you can subscribe to our newsletter to follow up on these events. And big thanks again to our speakers and to the audience for joining today, and wish you a great evening. Hoping we meet soon in a next session of Tokenization Tuesday. Ciao.
Thank you, Mia, for hosting.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.